Take a lot of pictures hanging on and write music that he thought could describe them. In other words, to try and do with notes what a painter does with paint. Now, of course, all of us know that notes can't do what paint can do. You can't draw your nose with F-sharps, and you can't draw a building or paint a sunset with notes. But you can sort of try to do it. Anyway, here's one of those pictures he tried to do it with. It shows children playing in a park. And what Mussorgsky did to make it sound like children playing was to imitate the way children talk when they play games, almost like singing. You know, when you go in a game, ollie, ollie, and free, ollie, ollie, and free, there's a kind of tune you're singing. Or when kids are taunting each other, making fun of each other when they play, and they go, nya, 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 nya. Mussorgsky took this nya, 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 and watch how he uses it. Nya, 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 nya. You see how he uses this? Almost to paint children with notes. Then there's another picture Mussorgsky painted with notes of many little chickens not yet out of their eggshells who do a dance. I'll listen to how he describes chickens in notes, the way he imitates their pecking and squawking. And then the final picture, the last one of the series, where he paints a big gate in the Russian city of Kiev, a tremendous stone structure. And you can see what Mussorgsky had in his mind when you hear these great big strong chords like pillars holding up those tons of stone. Listen. Now, that made you think of a big gate, didn't it? Did it? Didn't it? Okay. But only because I told you beforehand to think of a big gate. If I had told you beforehand to think about the Mississippi River flowing majestically down the middle of America, you would have had that in your mind when you heard these big chords. So again, there's the old answer. The picture that goes with music goes with it only because the composer says so, but it's not really a part of the music. It's extra. Now we're going to take another giant step toward finding out our answer to what music means. And this is a really big step. We're getting closer now to the answer. Because now we're going to forget all about those pieces that try to tell stories or paint pictures. We've had enough of that. And we're going to listen to music that describes emotions, feelings, like pain, happiness, loneliness, anger, love. I guess most music is like that. And the better it is, the more it will make you feel those emotions that the composer felt when he was writing it. Tchaikovsky was a composer who always tried to do this, who always tried to have his music mean something easily recognized as emotional. Take this part of his Fourth Symphony, for instance. I guess the best way to describe that would be by saying that it has the feeling of wanting something very badly that you can't have. Did you ever feel that you wanted something more than anything else in the world, and you said so, and they said, no, you can't have it, and you said again, I want it, and again they said no, and again you said louder and more excited, I want it, and again louder, I want it, until it seemed that something would break in your head and there's nothing left to do but cry. Well, that's like this music. Listen. I want it. 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 And finally, something breaks in your head. And you cry. Now listen to the orchestra play it and see if you don't feel something like those emotions. Pretty emotional stuff, isn't it? Well, now, sometimes Tchaikovsky uses the same tune to describe two different emotions. For instance, at the beginning of his Fifth Symphony, he writes this tune, which sounds sad and gloomy and depressed. Depressing. But at the end of the symphony, in the last movement, he changes a few notes, what musicians call changing from minor to major, Some of you will know what that means. And it all comes out joyful and triumphant, like someone who has just made a touchdown and is the hero of the football game. Didn't you feel triumphant? And didn't that make you feel like the winner, at least of a football game, maybe of a presidential election? Now we can really understand what the meaning of music is. It's the way it makes you feel when you hear it. Finally, we've taken that last giant step, and we're there. We know what music means now. And we don't have to know a lot of stuff about sharps and flats and chords and all that business in order to understand music. If it tells us something, not a story or a picture, but a feeling, if it makes us change inside and have all those different good feelings that music can make you have, then you're understanding it. And that's all there is to it. Because those feelings aren't like the stories and the pictures we talked about before. They're not extra. They're not outside the music. They belong to the music. They're what music is about. And the most wonderful thing of all is that there's no limit to the different kinds of feelings music can make you have. And some of those feelings are so special and so deep that they can't even be described in words. You see, we can't always name the things we feel. Sometimes we can. We can say we feel joy, pleasure, peacefulness, whatever, love, hate. But every once in a while, we have feelings that are so deep and so special that we have no words for them. And that's where music is so marvelous, because music names them for us, only in notes instead of in words. It's all in the way music moves. You must never forget that music is movement, always going somewhere, shifting and changing and flowing from one note to another. And that movement can tell us more about the way we feel than a million words can. Here we're going to play you a tiny little piece by a modern composer named Webern, who writes music that's so special in its sound and in its meaning that a lot of people don't understand it at all and just call it crazy modern music. But I know that very often young people can understand this kind of music better than older people. So I'd like to take a chance and play it for you, crazy as it is, and see what you